Imagine you are standing in front of a huge mirror. The you in the mirror seems to be exactly the same as you, but with a strangeness. You whisper to him, determined to change, to get rid of those habits that you know are harmful but can't stop, the endless scrolling of the screen late at night, the hands that lose control under the temptation of sweets, the painful patterns that are repeated in a certain relationship, and even the endless self-criticism in your mind. You swear that this time, you will definitely break free. However, at dawn, the person in the mirror is like a disobedient child, repeating the same mistakes again. Where does that irresistible impulse, that invisible force that pushes you into the abyss come from? Have you warned yourself countless times, "I will never do it again next time," but found yourself like a puppet manipulated by some invisible force, repeating the same trap countless times? Have you ever asked yourself why those behaviors that make you painful, empty, and deviate from the track of life are so difficult to give up? You know that they are consuming you and eroding you, but why do you feel like you are fighting against your own gravity every time you want to stop? Is this simply a lack of willpower? Is this simply a lack of self-discipline? If that were the case, why do so many smart, visionary, and determined people also get stuck in the vortex of alcohol, drugs, gambling, the internet, and even endless work in social media? Don't they understand self-control better than you do? Don't they understand the word consequences better than you? If willpower is the key, then why has addiction not only not decreased in the development of human civilization, but has penetrated into every aspect of our lives in various new and hidden forms, becoming an indelible shadow of modern society? You think you are making a choice, but is there a force behind your choice that you have never noticed, a mechanism that transcends personal will and is rooted in a deeper level? It is like an invisible magnetic field, pulling you all the time, making you move in the direction it presets, even if that direction is self-destruction. Is your so-called free will just a fragile illusion in front of this force? How much of your control over your own behavior is really control, and how much is it cleverly pushed behind the scenes? We are used to attributing addiction to personal character flaws, to imbalances in brain chemistry, or to the shadow of childhood trauma. But are these explanations too simplified, even a little convenient? Do they avoid deeper, more disturbing truths? Have you ever thought that what you think of as self and your pride in rationality may be just the tip of the iceberg of this huge mystery, and beneath the surface, there is a huge lie about human instincts, social structures, and even the meaning of existence that is far beyond your imagination? If you think this is just a failure of self-control, the real lie is just beginning to unfold. You think that the force that pulls you back into the trap is just a weakness of willpower or a chemical in your brain. But this is just a superficial explanation, an oversimplification, and even a convenient door for self-deception. The real answer is much darker and much older, rooted in the deepest psychological structure of human beings and the philosophical dilemma of our existence itself. Have you ever thought that your strong desire for a certain substance or behavior is not so much a bad habit as a distorted pursuit? Carl Jung would tell you that it may be the shadow part of your unconscious that you have suppressed, denied, and abandoned, knocking desperately at the door. Your addiction may not be seeking happiness, but a kind of completeness, a true self that you consciously lack or are stripped away by society. When your true feelings, your talents, your pain, and your desires are labeled as unacceptable and forced to retreat into the dark corners of your mind, they will not disappear. They will emerge in a way you never expected, trying to reconnect with you. Addiction is just such a distorted way of connection, which makes you feel complete and real temporarily, even if this reality is destructively toxic. You think you are avoiding pain, but you don't know that you may be unconsciously pursuing some forbidden truth, but this pursuit has been distorted into a kind of self-paralysis by the various stimuli of modern life. Going deeper, the great philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer has long revealed that life is essentially an endless will, a blind, irrational impulse and desire that can never be fully satisfied. Every time you get one, the next desire will rise, and the cycle will never end. And the addiction you are deeply trapped in is just the most explicit and cruel manifestation of this eternal will to survive projected on you. That kind of never-satisfied emptiness, that kind of greater emptiness that follows a moment of pleasure, is exactly what Schopenhauer described as the eternal cycle of human suffering. You long to break free, but you are bound by it, because it is not an external enemy, but the core mechanism of your own existence. You are not fighting addiction, but your will to live, a force that is greater and more primitive than your personal will. Friedrich Nietzsche would point out more sharply that in modern society where God is dead, when all grand narratives of meaning and transcendental values have been deconstructed, we are thrown into an abyss of nothingness. Without guidance and direction, where should the instinctive will to power of human beings, the inner driving force that desires growth, creation, and self-transcendence, go? When this creative will to power cannot find an outlet, when you cannot realize yourself in a world full of mediocrity, obedience and overstimulation, it will degenerate and distort. Addiction has become the outlet for this distorted will to power. Through it, you seek a sense of control, a short-term sense of superiority, and a false transcendence. You think you are looking for happiness, but in fact you are looking for a deprived power and a castrated divinity. Modern society mass-produces tamed people, and are you becoming one of them, using addiction to numb your pain of deprivation? The deep roots of all this go far beyond your personal experience. They also permeate the fabric of society and culture. We are designed to be consumers, educated to be obedient, and trained to be receivers of information flows. Society constantly creates anxiety and constantly provides solutions, one stimulus after another, one product after another, one anesthetic after another that allows you to temporarily forget the emptiness. You think you are chasing happiness, but what you are chasing may just be an endless illusion of desire carefully designed for you by a huge system. This empty pursuit provides fertile soil for your addiction. Are you feeling uneasy? Because you are realizing that what you are facing is not a simple personal battle, but a huge invisible trap woven by the deep psychology and philosophical dilemmas of human beings, as well as the entire social structure. The most terrifying thing is that its consequences are quietly shaping your destiny in a way that you have never noticed. You are now beginning to understand that what you are facing is far more than a simple willpower challenge. What you think of as addiction is actually a distortion deep in the core of human existence, which quietly, like a poisonous snake swimming in the depths of your consciousness, slowly winding and tightening. This invisible bondage is shaping your personal destiny and even the face of the entire society in ways you least expect. Have you ever carefully observed how those habits that make you repeatedly sink subtly reshape your cognition? How is your brain, this wonderful and efficient machine, gradually tamed by it? When you indulge in a certain behavior or substance again and again, the reward circuit of the brain is highly stimulated, dopamine floods out, and it begins to build an indestructible neural pathway. This road becomes wider and wider, and eventually becomes an automated highway. So, you are no longer choosing to pursue pleasure, but your brain has been programmed. When encountering specific triggering conditions, it will involuntarily issue instructions to drive you to repeat the same mistakes. This is not just a habit, it is a compulsory behavior that is implanted at your unconscious level. At this moment, your free will is held hostage by your physiological instincts and learned reactions. What's even more terrifying is that this mechanism is not just biological. It is closely integrated with your cognitive biases to form an insurmountable barrier. You indulge in it because your brain is constantly looking for rationalization, reasons. This day is too tiring and you need to relax. Life is too bitter and you need a little sweetness. Everyone does this and it's normal. You selectively ignore those long-term negative consequences and only focus on the short-term comfort in front of you. This confirmation bias makes you see only the evidence that supports your continued addiction, while the availability bias makes it easier for you to recall those good moments and forget the painful costs. You think you are analyzing rationally, but in fact, your rationality is being kidnapped by the driving force deep in your heart, providing a false legitimacy for your continued sinking. You think you are analyzing rationally, but in fact, your rationality is being kidnapped by the driving force deep in your heart, providing a false legitimacy for your continued sinking. Do you feel that it is quietly stealing your time, your energy, and your creativity? It is like a black hole, swallowing up everything you could have used to grow, connect, and experience real life. Your dreams, your ambitions, those sparks that once made your blood boil, are worn out in repetition again and again. You become dull and your perception of true happiness and meaning decreases because those cheap, readily available stimulations have occupied your sensory high ground. You think you are enjoying it, but you are just passively consuming one preset stimulation after another, and your vitality is being silently extracted. This invisible addiction is not just an individual problem, it is also the cornerstone of the entire social structure. The world you live in is a huge addiction maker and seller. Consumerism tells you that you need more and faster satisfaction. Social media makes you addicted to instant feedback and false connections. The flood of information makes you resist deep thinking and critical reading. The entertainment-to-death culture makes you escape reality and indulge in superficial pleasures. We are instilled with a sense of inadequacy, and then provided with countless solutions, one after another, products that temporarily paralyze you and temporarily escape from emptiness. You think you are pursuing happiness, but in fact, you may just be chasing the phantom of desire that is carefully designed by this system and never satisfied in an endless cycle. Your addiction has become the lubricant for the operation of this consumer machine and an invisible tool of social control. This is exactly the most terrifying thing about it. You are in it, but you are completely unaware of it. It does not suddenly push you into the abyss, but through countless tiny, imperceptible daily behaviors, like a frog boiled in warm water, it gradually erodes your autonomy, your awareness, and your life essence. You begin to doubt whether you are really happy, whether you are really alive, or just mechanically repeating the programmed program. Has this deep emptiness and uneasiness become the norm in your heart? If you don't wake yourself up and really see this truth, you will sink deeper and become an insignificant screw in this huge machine. But don't despair, because realizing the depth of the problem is the beginning of rebellion. You are standing on a new precipice when you realize that this is not just an addiction, but a multi-year self-deception that is deeply rooted in the foundation of your being, a vast maze constructed by both you and the outside world. Behind you is the familiar and suffocating comfort zone, a poison that seems to bring a moment of peace, a safe haven you once thought of, but in fact it is a cage woven by your desires and social expectations. You are familiar with every crack in it, every illusion of it, and even every harm it causes. Although it is a cage, it is a foreseeable prison that you have become accustomed to. And in front of you is the real unknown. You are eager to break free, but what you are facing is an existential crisis that is deeper and more frightening than the withdrawal reaction. When you try to remove the thorn that has been buried for a long time, you will have to face the original, naked pain and emptiness that it hides. That is the abyss you have been trying to escape from, and the cracks in your soul that you have painstakingly filled with various stimuli. When those numb feelings subside, when you no longer use external stimuli to cover up the inner lack, you will have to face it. That great void. It's not an external void, but a primal hunger for meaning, value, and connection deep within. Your addiction was a cheap substitute you used to fill that void. Now you need to endure its gnaw until you find true nourishment. Your true repressed emotions. Those anger, sadness, anxiety, fear, they have always been there, but you have forced them into the dark corners of your subconscious. They are like imprisoned beasts. When you remove the anesthesia, they will roar and rush out, demanding to be seen, felt, and transformed. This is a painful reconciliation process with your shadow part. Your self-doubt. When you strip away the false identity and sense of power that addiction brings, you may feel lost. Who are you? What is your value? The pursuits you once pursued and the dreams you gave up will emerge like ghosts, questioning and judging you. This requires you to redefine yourself in a more real, vulnerable but also resilient way. The huge gravitational pull of society. You will find that when you try to break free, the world around you may not understand, and may even use its inertia to pull you back. Those temptations are everywhere, those consumerist traps are still wide open, and those definitions of normality are still disciplining you. You will become an outlier, a rebel, and this road is destined to be lonely. This is not an easy battle, nor is it a disease that can be cured. This is a life reshaping, a soul refining. It requires you to have more courage than ever before, not to escape, but to go deep. Go deep into the pain, go deep into the emptiness, go deep into the truth that you have been avoiding. Most people will retreat at this point. They will choose to put on the comfortable shackles again and return to the familiar cage. Because compared with the unknown freedom, the known slavery seems safer. But if you really want to transcend, you must dare to face this complete stripping, dare to reshape yourself with bare hands after losing all false support. Are you willing? Do you dare to face yourself without anesthesia, escape, or false comfort? This is the beginning of your true freedom and the opportunity for you to truly become yourself. If you choose not to retreat and choose to cross the abyss, you will embark on an unprecedented road. This is not a smooth road paved for you by others, but a thorny road that you need to open up alone. You will no longer passively endure, but actively create. First, you need to learn to observe, not judge. You are no longer a victim driven by desire, but a calm observer of your inner world. When the urge strikes, when you feel that familiar gravitational pull that pulls you toward the abyss, stop. Don't act immediately, and don't blame yourself. Just observe it. Feel the waves it stirs in your body and distinguish the lies it weaves in your mind. Is this urge anger? Is it emptiness? Is it boredom? Give it a name, but don't let it define you. Shift your consciousness from, I feel this way, to, I am feeling this feeling. This subtle shift is the first step to distinguishing you from your addiction. You are not the same as it. It is just a visitor in your consciousness, and you can choose whether to open the door to it. Second, you need to embrace discomfort and use it as a compass. All your past addictions were to escape discomfort. Now, discomfort will become your truest teacher. When the pain of withdrawal hits, when the feeling of emptiness makes you restless, when boredom makes you want to fill it immediately, don't resist. Allow these feelings to exist. They are signs that your body and soul are clearing toxins, and they are telling you that you are on the right path. Every time you choose to endure this discomfort instead of returning to the old escape mode, you are carving a new mark in your neural circuits. Every successful endurance is a strengthening exercise for your free will muscle. You will find that those feelings that you once thought were unbearable are not as terrible as you thought. They come and they go. They are just information, not your master. Third, rebuild your pleasure mechanism. Your brain is programmed to pursue immediate, high-intensity dopamine hits. Now you need to re-educate it to discover pleasures that are slower releasing, longer lasting, and more meaningful. This may mean re-engaging in a creative hobby, delving deeply into a subject, engaging in a heartfelt conversation with someone you love, finding peace in nature, or simply enjoying the aroma of a cup of tea and feeling the warmth of the sun on your face. These pleasures may not be as intense as the stimulation of the past, but they are real, and they nourish your soul rather than drain your life force. They are the true taste of freedom because they come from the abundance within you, not the temporary filling of the outside world. Finally, understand that this is a lifetime journey. There is no once and for all relief. You won't wake up one day and find that the addiction is completely gone. It may be like a dormant shadow that tries to resurface when you are at a low point in your life. True freedom is learning how to coexist with this shadow without being controlled by it. This means you need continuous vigilance, continuous self-care, and continuous awareness practice. When you truly do this, when you can face your pain and emptiness calmly, when you can gain strength and joy from within, you will find that you no longer need those external stimuli. Your mind will become clear, your creativity will be reawakened, and your connection with the world will become deeper. You are no longer a passive consumer, but an active creator. You are no longer pushed by life, but begin to consciously shape your own destiny. This is more than just quitting a bad habit, it's your epic journey to reclaim sovereignty over your life and become a whole, authentic, free person. Are you ready? When you really embark on this path, when you choose to endure discomfort, embrace emptiness, and face the truth again and again, you will find that what you are experiencing is not just withdrawal, but a profound life transformation. Your world is no longer two-dimensional black and white, but full of colors you have never seen before. First, your perception of existence will change. The details that once made you anxious will become insignificant, and the ordinary moments that you once disdained will shine with a sacred light. The aroma of a cup of tea, the sunlight through the curtains in the morning, the melody of a piece of classical music, or just taking a deep breath and feeling the air filling your lungs, these will become your windows to perceive the miracle of life. You no longer need to prove your existence through high-intensity stimulation, because your existence itself is the most profound experience. Secondly, a compass will grow inside you. It will no longer point to the temptations and judgments of the outside world, but to the truest desires and wisdom in your heart. You will learn to listen to your intuition and distinguish between real needs and false desires. You no longer need to seek recognition from the outside world, because your value is already shining in your existence. This inner confidence and tranquility will become your strongest fortress against the storms of the outside world. Third, your relationship with yourself will be completely renewed. You are no longer a soul imprisoned by self-loathing and criticism, but a complete being that can gently embrace all aspects of yourself. You will realize that all the pain and struggle are part of your life growth, and they shape who you are today. This inner harmony will naturally be projected into your interpersonal relationships. You no longer seek to be filled or saved by others, but as a complete and abundant individual, you will establish a real, deep, and unpretentious connection with others. You give love not to get something in return, but because you are love. Finally, you will begin to connect with the deeper meaning and purpose of your life. Your once restrained creativity will burst forth, and your repressed dreams will come to life. Instead of acting to escape, you will live to create, to experience, to express. You will find that when you let go of the addictions that drain your energy, you will have more energy, clarity, and focus than ever before to engage in the things that truly make your heart beat. You will enter a state of flow, where time seems to stand still and movement becomes effortless because you are in tune with the rhythm of the universe. This is not the end of the journey, but a new beginning. The power you gain is not for stagnation, but for moving towards a wider unknown. Every fall is for a deeper understanding of balance, every confusion is for finding a clearer direction. You will eventually find that the freedom you pursue is not getting rid of something, but becoming something. You become a true existence, an existence that can live completely in the present, fully feel life, and illuminate the world with its unique colors. Your life will therefore become a poem, a painting, and a living miracle. This incomparable freedom and power is the treasure that you are truly worth pursuing. At this point, our conversation about quitting and freedom has come to an end. I hope these thoughts can bring you new perspectives and motivation to move forward.